Residents say gunfire is not that unusual in the city's public housing high-rise buildings.
But in this case, 6 go down in a shootout with police. A good evening to you. One Baltimore man is dead tonight.
3 others are hospitalized, Beverly, following last night's shootout between narcotics officers and drug suspects at the Murphy Homes high-rise housing project. With more on the story, we're going to go to Channel 2's Randy Page.
There is a visible police presence outside of Murphy Homes today. That is not unusual. The public housing project is plagued by the growing violence which surrounds the drug trade. By day, it's usually pretty quiet around here. By night, it's a different story. Last night, in particular. The wounded filled more than 3 ambulances following a gun battle between 2 plainclothes police officers and suspected drug dealers in a 5th-floor hallway. 6 people were hit, including Valerie Falls.
I'm lucky. Lucky to be alive.
An innocent bystander who just climbed the dark stairs to the 5th-floor hallway when the shooting started.
They started running up the hall, and I just ran, and that's when I felt the bullet hit my leg.
Police say 2 plainclothes narcotics officers were called to the 5th floor last night on a report that drugs were being sold. They found about a dozen men at the end of the hallway. Police say one of the men, Wayne Watts, pulled out a handgun and began firing at them. Police returned fire, killing Watts. 5 others were injured in the gunfight. 3 are hospitalized tonight. The 2 officers were not injured. They'll be off the streets while the shooting is investigated. In West Baltimore, Randy Page, Channel 2 News.
Now, police say they do not know if the 5 injuries were caused by police bullets or those belonging to the suspects, because most of the bullets were not recovered.
In Halethorpe, a disturbing sight today. More than 130 headstones were knocked over at the United Hebrew Cemetery. Baltimore County Police say this isn't the first time this century-old cemetery has been vandalized. The caretaker of the 40-acre cemetery believes the tombstones were overturned sometime Sunday. Right now, there are no suspects. Repairs to the grave sites begin tomorrow.
2 big opening days coming up. The Orioles on April 6th and light rail set for April the 3rd. For light rail, still working on a few glitches. Yesterday, the system gave free train rides to the public as a way of thanking the community for its support. The free rides were marred, though, by some delays, minor breakdowns in the mechanical system. But light rail officials are not worried.
We need to work out some of the bugs, and we need to get some of our operators trained and have all the experience they need. But we've got another 2 weeks to go, and we think we'll be okay.
Light rail will offer more free rides to the public tomorrow and on Friday. You know, they say all the world's a stage. And tonight in our Positively Baltimore segment, we'll introduce you to some people helping all our children enjoy the productions that play across it. The goal here is to introduce kids to theater and the messages it can convey. News Channel 2's Andy Barth reports.
The company's called New Avenues in Theater, but their goal is the promotion of old, tested and true, life-affirming values.
Are you willing to try? Now, don't be such a poor loser. And the next time, don't brag about what you can do, but show us instead.
Let this be a lesson to you, Mr. Fox. You can't always have your own way.
Sound familiar? Of course these messages do. They're the morals of Aesop's fables, and these actors are using the medium of theater to present the messages of morality and tolerance.
Being fast doesn't make you good, any more than being slow make me bad.
For many in the audience, this is their first brush with the magic of theater. The actors skillfully weave them into the action.
Did Mr. Hare win the race? No! Did Mr. Tortoise win the race?
New Avenues is led by Ben Prestberry, who looks familiar because you've seen him for years in Baltimore productions with the Arena Players and other groups. He wants to keep theater alive.
We want to motivate youngsters. Who knows, there might be a Sidney Poitier out there. If we can't motivate them as talents, we hope to motivate them in some aspect of theater where they can earn a living or create future audiences to perpetuate the lifeline of theater.
We're trying to instill some morals, some ideas, and begin the thinking process for the youth. We're trying to get them involved in theater.
Today's audience was from Arundel Elementary School, and they gave the production raves.
I liked it, all of it. It was great. I think it was great.
What did you like?
The tortoise and the hare.
And why? What'll you remember?
The slow and steady always was the worst.
After each show, the cast chats with the audience. Who knows what good acts may come of this? I'm Andy Barth, News Channel 2, Baltimore.
But in other news tonight, a rookie Baltimore City police officer was in federal court today, but she wasn't wearing her uniform. 23-year-old Lisa Evans lost that right when she was arrested on conspiracy to distribute heroin. News Channel 2's Randy Page joins us now from the update desk with more on this story. Randy?
Stan, 23-year-old Lisa Evans received little sympathy from her fellow officers in court today, particularly undercover officers, because if one of their own joins the other side, it just makes their job that much more dangerous. Captain Kenneth Johnson speaks for them all.
It's a hard thing to see one of our officers fall for a crime like this because, first of all, you wonder how someone can betray the oath and betray their fellow officers, because it really is a betrayal. Lord knows the damage she may have done.
According to sources close to the investigation, Lisa Evans accepted money from undercover officers, money for the purchase of heroin. Police say they believe the former rookie policewoman got into trouble after associating with Darrell Bowling. Bowling was also charged today with conspiracy to distribute heroin, and he is also wanted for murder. Police believe Evans was his girlfriend. The former rookie police officer has been released on her own recognizance after family members posted a $50,000 bond. Evans resigned from the force after her arrest last night. In all, 4 people were arrested, but in the bust, which involved 2 ounces of heroin and $13,000 in cash. Stan?
All right, Randy, thank you very much. In other news tonight, a 30-year-old Baltimore City police officer narrowly escaped a brush with death. Officer Jerome Grayson was in pursuit of a drug suspect late last night when the suspect allegedly turned and tried to fire shots at the officer. The gun misfired. The suspect then fled. Officers later caught up with him and placed him under arrest. That suspect has been identified as 19-year-old Jermaine Watkins. And tonight, he's held on several charges, including assault with intent to kill. Many News Channel 2 viewers are in favor of the death penalty as punishment for criminals convicted of murder. We opened our News Channel 2 telepoll lines yesterday after convicted killer John Thanos was handed a death sentence. And we wanted to know if you support the death penalty. The answer was an overwhelming yes. 89% of you who called in support the death penalty. Only 11% say they are still against it. Our telepoll isn't a scientific survey, but simply a measure of public opinion. Baltimore City keeps producing more and more trash, but now the problem is where to put it all.
Good morning, Vietnam tonight.
Will do.
Okay, bye-bye, Stan. Ask any Baltimore City resident what worries them most. Chances are they'll say crime. That's why it's so disturbing to learn the juvenile court system isn't really helping solve the problem. In fact, a startling new report says much of the killing we witness daily is a direct result of that system. Earlier in the news hour, we heard briefly from George Russell, who authored the report. He joins us now for an in-depth discussion on the problems with the system and the possible solutions. Thanks for being with us, Mr. Russell.
Thank you.
Now, your contention is that juveniles aren't getting their day in court and need more treatment and more resources. My first question to you has to be money. Where's the money going to come from for this?
Well, first of all, I was chairman of a committee that prepared the report. I did not author the report. The money must come from the state. The city does not have sufficient funds to support the juvenile court system. And as a result of this underfunding and the number of drug cases that have been brought, the system is disintegrating. It's collapsing. And it's in need of state financing, and we need at least 2 additional judges in the juvenile court.
Baltimore's juvenile system has been the subject of a recent Time magazine article. It's getting national attention. Is it worse in Baltimore than other cities across the country?
Yes, it is.
Why do you think that is?
Well, we had 1 judge in the juvenile court before World War II. Today we have 1 judge in the juvenile court when 20% of the crime and the arrests, rather, are committed by juveniles and come into that court. And the system that exists now, the lack of computers, the lack of proper aids, simply creates a terrible situation that must be corrected. The top priority of the state has to be the protection of the citizens, and this is not being afforded our citizens through the juvenile justice system.
Budget problems or not? I mean, we just
money.
have to prioritize.
That's correct.
I hear you. Okay, now Judge Joseph Kaplan says that that he feels that it's too late by 15 or 16 for a lot of these kids, that we should take the kids that commit adult crimes and charge them and treat them as adults and separate out the kids that commit lesser crimes. What do you think about that? Are you willing to give up on the kids that commit adult crimes?
No, we cannot give up on anyone. I have a great deal of respect for Judge Kaplan. I do agree with him that we're not intervening at an early enough point. We should intervene with the juveniles quite early. 90%, the Department of Corrections statistics indicate that 90% of the adult crime, or those charged with adult crimes, have a history in the juvenile court. And we must intervene there. The treatment programs that we have for juveniles are inadequate. Others have been cut because of the budget.
You feel that Governor Schaefer is pretty sensitive to your proposals. You have yet to hear the legislators on this.
Well, I spoke with the governor, and without repeating what he said, he is very sensitive toward this.
When are the legislators going to hear you out?
Well, as soon as they get the report, sometime this week.
Okay, you keep us posted?
Yes.
George Russell, thanks for being with us in our studios today.
Thank you for having me.
Italy. There are about 10 Italian restaurants here. Here's a list of other recommended restaurants.
259 Tony Pagnotti Science Center, thank you.
Hey, cabbie! Hey, cabbie! Enter the four-wheeled world of Thaddeus Logan's Baltimore.
Baltimoreans take for granted what we have here. This is an interesting city. Our city is one of the oldest in the country. People are coming from all over the world to visit our city, and many Baltimoreans are taking it for granted, historically, geographically.
North, south, east, west, this cabbie's got you covered.
As a cab driver, you're in the streets from 10 to 12 hours a day, and you're uptown, downtown, and around town. Really, who would know the city better than a cab driver?
While his video is geared toward visitors and conventioneers, he emphasizes we locals should take a closer look at our city.
People ride past this monument every day, and I'm willing to wager that the majority of people are not aware what the monument is. This is our city seal. This is on all public vehicles, all public documents.
And did you ever notice what's right behind the battle monument?
This is the Negro Hero statue. It was dedicated to all the blacks who fought in America's wars, from the Revolutionary War to the Persian Gulf War.
I've always passed the Shot Tower, but don't know a whole lot about it. What can you tell me?
The Shot Tower was built in the 19th century, and it was used to manufacture pellets or ammunition for muskets and rifles.
From Little Italy to Fells Point, with trivial taxi tidbits in between.
Tony on my left is the Basilica of the Assumption. This is the oldest cathedral in North America. The building with the columns is the Lord Street Synagogue. It's the first in Maryland, the third oldest Jewish synagogue in the country.
It was a lively tour until we pulled into the Greenmount Avenue Cemetery.
They're paid tours through the cemetery.
Here you'll find the final resting places for many notables.
Johns Hopkins, Enid Pratt, and the man who murdered Abraham Lincoln, John Wilkes Booth.
For both young and old, there is a lot to learn about Baltimore. That's why when Thaddeus is not giving tours in his cab, you can find him on city school buses giving students a lesson or two about the city. Learning about Baltimore is important. And following tours, this cabbie turns quizmaster.
Have you learned anything on this tour today in Baltimore?
Yeah, I learned about the statues.
What's that? Okay, that's good.
You can learn all about it in Thaddeus's video, Baltimore Convention City. It is available at Greetings and Readings. In addition to this, he also has a film strip, Sally, for the Baltimore City Schools.
Anthony Anderson turned 14 only Friday, but in his mind, Anthony was 2 years older. He couldn't wait to be 16 to get behind the wheel of a car.
We didn't know that Anthony even knew how to drive a car. I mean, it was several times he asked me to teach him how to drive a car. I told him when he got older, I would teach him how to drive the car.
The car Anthony was driving Saturday night was stolen from a home in Randallstown. This is what's left of it now. State police don't make a habit of high-speed chases. In fact, they preach against chases. But police say on Saturday night, Anthony Anderson was driving a stolen car, which is a felony. He was 25 miles above the posted limit, and he accelerated away from police. Sergeant Al Liebno teaches Maryland troopers how to handle vehicle pursuits. He says there may indeed not have been a chase, but for the fact that Anthony's car was on a nearly deserted stretch of 4-lane highway where police thought they had a reasonable chance of surrounding the car and stopping it quickly.
It's a very straight road, not many curves. The intersections are well open. Visibility is far. You can see very, very far. So this all adds to one of the areas in our policy that requires a trooper to continue pursuit only if it's safe to do so.
Meantime, back in northwest Baltimore, Anthony's loved ones mourn a boy whose pictures are all over his grandmother's wall.
Anthony was loving, kind, considerate. He always gave me respect.
He also envied cars and those who could drive. It was an envy that cost this 14-year-old his life. Mark Vernorelli, Channel 2 News.
Another 14-year-old in the car with Anthony is in critical condition tonight. That car was stolen from Randallstown, but so far, police don't know who actually stole it. Stan?
Meanwhile, an East Baltimore teenager is charged tonight with the accidental shooting of his 9-year-old brother. Alonzo Lumpkin Jr. was shot in the chest last night. He remains in critical but stable condition at Johns Hopkins Children's Center. Now, according to police, 18-year-old James McNeil told them he found a .32 caliber revolver, took it home, and started fooling around with it. McNeil reportedly pointed the gun at his own head at his East Baltimore home, then pointed the gun at his younger brother, and that's when it discharged. McNeil was charged with assault and released from jail on his own recognizance. Baltimore County Police have released a composite sketch of one of the two suspects wanted for the attempted murder of a Baltimore County police officer. Officer Daryl Chesney was beaten last Tuesday night after he stopped a 1978 Chevy Monte Carlo on Harris Mill Road in Parkton. Officer Chesney was struck in the head with a metal object. His service revolver was taken during the attack. Baltimore County Police say they're looking for this man. He's described as about 40 years of age, 5'6" to 5'7" in height. He weighs about 180 pounds. The other suspect is about 30 years of age. He's 5'11", medium build with long brown hair. Officer Chesney is recovering tonight from his attack. If you have any information at all, please contact the Baltimore County Police Department at 887-1829. Baltimore City Police are investigating yet another murder. This one occurred last night in the downtown area. 26-year-old Jimmy Ellis was found near the corner of Biddle and Brentwood. Ellis had been shot in the face. He was taken to Johns Hopkins, where he later died. Right now, police say they have no suspects and no motives.
More and more, the violence we see on our streets has a child's face on both sides of the trigger. And a new report released by the Bar Association of Baltimore City says our juvenile justice system is failing our troubled youth. With more on this story, here's Channel 2's Randy Page.
May 5th, 1990, Edmondson Village, the night Antoine Dorsey lost his life. He was only 14, shot to death, police believe, by other teenagers. Police say he was carrying a sawed-off shotgun of his own when a bullet claimed his life. Teens and guns are a common sight in this neighborhood.
They running around here trying to beat people up and shoot them just to prove a point that they bad and everything.
In 1991 alone, police say 32 juveniles were arrested for murder, more than 1,000 arrested for violent crimes. But what happens once they go into custody? A report released by the City Bar Association says the juvenile system is woefully inadequate to deal with the growing street violence. The committee chairman is former City State's Attorney and Judge George Russell.
A person with a parking ticket is able to see a judge and be tried and found not guilty or guilty on a parking ticket. But a juvenile who's charged with a serious crime is not afforded the opportunity to see a judge right away.
The Russell report calls for 2 additional juvenile court judges. It calls on the state to pay for the juvenile court system. And it says the juvenile system needs more resources from both private and public sources. But the judge who is in charge of all the Baltimore City circuit courtrooms, both juvenile and adult, says it's not the juvenile court system that needs all the extra resources, but rather the children need those resources long before they ever step into any courtroom.
What you have to do is spend the money on preventing kids from coming into the world just to be abused and misused.
Judge Kaplan says juveniles who commit adult crime should be charged as adults, leaving the juvenile system more room to treat those children who can still be reached. But Charles Russell says we shouldn't write off the juvenile criminal so easily.
We'll never know unless we can try, and we should try. We should try to save every one of them.
Save them before it's too late. Randy Page, Channel 2 News.
Former Judge George Russell says he will meet with state legislators next week to discuss the report's findings.
In days of old, when trolleys rolled on Howard Street, customers packed almost every inch of pavement, helping stores like Hutzler's and Hochul Cone draw business from around the region. But that's history, and the more recent past saw customers flee to the suburbs or Harbor Place, and businesses die. When light rail construction closed the street to buses, disaster loomed and merchants despaired. But now, the buses are back.
When the buses weren't here, you didn't have people walking on the street. You didn't have people standing on the street. Now you have a reason for these people to be on the street, to be waiting for the buses. Everybody benefits from it.
Milt Rosenbaum and his wife Ellen have run Hosiery World for 20 years at Howard and Saratoga Streets. Now they're seeing a lot of first-time customers like Amy Ressing.
Basically along the street there are probably some good bargains. The Inner Harbor has too many tourists. I really don't like to go down there. It's expensive.
Bob Rader has seen an upturn at his Gold Rush jewelry store.
You see more people on the weekends now because people didn't want to walk in all this mess that was down here throughout the time of the subway and the rail system. So now that they've got the street back together, you see more traffic coming up and down Howard Street.
Of course, there's still more to do. Some visiting Japanese business people today weren't taken with Howard Street.
Run down the street.
But the Downtown Partnership of Baltimore is working on that, hiring extra cleanup crews to keep streets neat and organizing promotions. They're counting on help from light rail next spring. Heck Company building is one of several that are empty along Howard Street, but merchants here feel it could be the key to complete success at turning business around here. They'd like to see the police department relocate its headquarters here, feeling that would not only bring a lot of new jobs, but an added sense of security. On Howard Street, I'm Andy Barth, Channel 2 News.
Channel 2's Brad Ganson now joins us live from the North Calvert Street location with the very latest. Brad?
Yeah, Beverly, the employee was shot in the head. He is clinging to life now at the University Hospital where doctors are working on him. I understand relatives are being brought to the hospital as we speak. This is Treats at the corner of Calvert and Fayette here. Two employees were in the back of the store doing setup for tomorrow. It's a luncheonette, does breakfast and lunch here downtown. Two employees were in the back of the store. They were setting up. They heard a scuffle, and they came out front. And just when they came out front, they saw one of the robbers point a gun at one of the employees.
The suspect then pointed the gun at the witnesses, tied them up, and forced them into a freezer in the kitchen. They then apparently took keys from the shot employee, opened up the cash room, and cleaned out all of the cash that was in there, and then ran, we believe, north on Calvert Street from this location.
No suspects yet in custody. The victim was brought out, was taken by ambulance to shock trauma. For a while, his heart had stopped beating, I'm told, by officers here on the scene. But doctors are now working on him over at the University of Maryland Hospital. Two suspects ran north, as Dennis Hill said. No suspects yet in custody. Downtown shooting just at rush hour, about 4:30 this afternoon, Beverly.
Okay, thank you very much, Brad Ganson, reporting live. Our other top story. A Lutherville doctor faces serious charges tonight. Charges that the murder of Maryland State Trooper Ted Wolf by two members of a New York drug gang is tied into investigations that led to some widespread drug raids today in Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Virginia. Convicted murderers Eric Tirado and Francisco Rodriguez were members of the Rodriguez-Palenco organization. That group sold drugs to another ring, the P Street Gang in Washington, which was targeted by local and federal agents who today made 13 arrests. 25 people are still being sought. Those charged include former Washington Redskin Eric Yarber, you see here, who is accused of laundering drug money through the Doug Williams Sports Shop in D.C. Williams, a former Washington Redskin quarterback, was not implicated. Trooper Wolf was murdered after he pulled Tirado and Rodriguez, you see here, over while they were driving a stolen car. Metro Crime Stoppers is offering a reward for information on a suspect in last Tuesday's O'Donnell Heights shooting spree. As we told you yesterday, an 18-year-old Jamaican, Brian Edwards Brown, is charged with murder, attempted murder, and rape. Brown also uses the name Country. He last was known at the address of 1229 Urban Way. Now, if you have information on Brian Brown, you're asked to call Metro Crime Stoppers. The hotline number on your screen, 276-8888, 276-8888. That's in Baltimore. Throughout Maryland, there's a toll-free number, 1-800-281-6666. Now, if your tip leads to the arrest and indictment of Brown, you'll be eligible for a reward of up to $1,000. Stan? If you hear that train coming, you're not just imagining things. Light rail is on the way, and the first passenger is expected to take the first ride in just 5 months. That means there's a lot of testing going on. And Channel 2's Andy Barth got to ride the rails today, even though it was for a very short distance.
Introducing the 1992 light rail passenger car model 5002. This baby has a base sticker price of $1.6 million, seats 84, is 95 feet long, and weighs 53 tons. The body's made in Denmark, the motor in Finland, the computer in Sweden, and the final assembly happens in Timonium at the AAI Corporation. They took her out for a test run today, and if you want to know how she operates, ask the man who drives one.
This is a very big vehicle. It can move very fast and doesn't stop real quick, and it takes a lot of concentration and effort to maintain the control of the vehicle.
Of course, most of us will never sit at the controls, but for $1.10, we can all be passengers. How does she ride? Well, seems to have good acceleration, smooth handling, sure cornering, and quite comfortable cloth bucket seats. Which doesn't seem too much to ask of a system that's been in the works since 1987 and will cost $364 million. What will it do for us?
Well, it certainly is an opportunity for someone to use something other than the automobile to ride from anywhere from this line that we're going to open, from Towson, Timonium down to the Camden Station.
Cars will run at 15-minute intervals all day, every day, and are all equipped to provide access for people in wheelchairs.
I hope next year when we have the State Fair, we'll have quite a crowd that'll ride to the State Fair.
And then go back downtown to a ball game?
Sure, why not?
I'm Andy Barth, Channel 2 News.
Rebecca Hawkins has devoted her life to making life better for the kids at Lafayette Courts. Many of those kids routinely skip school.
Socioeconomic problems, you have your drug problems here, you have parents here who are on drugs, some through no fault of their own, have fallen through the cracks in different areas, and the child suffers.
Today, Rebecca herself went to school. She's joining a unique Housing Authority school system effort to reduce truancy. 4-person teams called REACT, composed of social workers, drug education specialists, and family counselors, will go right into the public housing areas with the highest truancy rates.
Be doing a number of things, one of which getting kids into school, hopefully, 2, reducing the daytime crime rate, and thirdly, keeping kids off the streets such that we're apt to reduce the drug abuse problem among the youth.
But it's not just rounding up truants, it's working with entire families to get to the root cause of truancy. It doesn't hurt that the Housing Authority of Baltimore City already has the nation's only on-staff team of social workers devoted to the high-rises and courtyards of public housing. What's bad about playing hooky and not going to school?
Get locked up and you won't get no education.
That's exactly the message this new effort hopes to get across, not just to the kids, but to their families as well. In Southeast Baltimore, Mark Vernerelli, Channel 2 News.
The special program will target 6 public housing developments in the city. About 3,700 public school kids live in those developments, and according to the Housing Authority and school records, 20 to 30% have serious truancy problems. Well, this Friday, a lot of folks will be laughing and raising money to help fight a problem that is not at all funny. This Friday, Tony Pagnotti and I will be hosting Comedy Care 91 at the Hyatt Regency in downtown Baltimore. This will benefit health care for the homeless. Channel 2's Mary Beth Marsden reports.
Living on the streets does not have to mean dying on the streets.
How often are you taking these?
58-year-old Walter Jones gets medication and soaks his feet inside a clinic that is his lifeline.
Where do you sleep?
Any place I can in the daytime, like in here. If this place closed down, we'd really be hurting.
You worry about that?
Yeah, sure I am.
Health care for the homeless is for people we might see every day, but never notice. And Healthcare for the Homeless reaches out with workers like Kathy Lorenzo and Ridge Pilcher.
Yeah, saw him yesterday. I'm hoping that I'll see him today because he has some real bad injuries.
Well, I haven't seen Mr. Harris, so maybe we need to look for Mr. Harris, too.
Okay.
Mr. Harris is in his usual spot downtown. Kathy, a nurse, puts ointment on his leg. Ridge, a psychiatric outreach worker, simply talks with him. It may take Kathy or Ridge a couple of years to establish a friendship with someone like Mr. Harris. And even after they do, every ounce of help he accepts is a major breakthrough.
A lot of times they're just happy to see you and somebody that cares about them because they're so isolated. They have no family, no friends. I mean, we've even given birthday parties for folks in a bathroom.
How is your leg?
Well, it's getting better.
Do you ever go home thinking, we didn't help anybody today?
Oh, no.
No, not at all.
And there are a few success stories to keep them going.
I have a lady who's got her own apartment, and she starts work on Monday.
Malcolm, who suffers from a mental illness, is a little agitated today. And then there's Eddie.
And he complains that he needs a medical card, so I've been trying to work on that, do some case management and get him a medical card. I'm working on that now.
He said right now he's fine, but he did say we could go back and talk to him later and see if there was anything we could do. And that's about all you can do, is one day at a time.
Because that's the way a homeless person lives, one day at a time. In Mount Vernon, Mary Beth Marsden, Channel 2 News.
A Hopkins Medical School student has many of her fellow students concerned about their safety.
While the hospital's administration points a finger at Baltimore City. Good evening, everybody. It happened early this morning as that student walked from her parked car to the hospital.
That's when she was attacked and dragged into an abandoned house and raped. News Channel 2's Carolyn Prasudi now joins us live from East Baltimore with more. Carolyn?
Beverly, the second-year medical student, parked not 3 blocks from the hospital, down in the 1000 block of Wolf Street. She was abducted and taken to a vacant home on Durham Street, where she was raped and beaten with a heavy stick. Hospital administrators today say enough is enough. They're tired of the crime, and they're calling on the city to crack down on the drug problem in the neighborhood.
We need more police help in the area. Police protection. We need the area to be cleaned and rid of drug dealing.
This is the corner hospital administrators refer to as an open-air drug market. Those who live here agree.
We got drugs here, Digger Street, it's all around us.
After 50 years of living in this neighborhood, TJ is still afraid of talking about the drugs in front of a camera. But he says he knows why drugs are here.
We do things to survive, that's all, you know, and whatever it takes.
There will be more police on the beat here starting tomorrow at 6 a.m. But until the crime wave subsides, hospital administrators urge visitors not to park on streets north of Madison. They are instead directing visitors, patients, and employees and students to park in the designated parking areas. You might have to pay a little bit more, but they're expected to be a lot safer because they are monitored throughout the hours that they're open. Now, as for that medical student, she's expected to be released from Mercy Hospital later tonight. Beverly?
In just what ways are patrols going to be beefed up, and how visible will they be to people moving in and out of that area?
Beginning tomorrow at 6 a.m., you can see more police officers both walking the beat and in their cars in this area around the hospital in East Baltimore.
Okay, Carolyn Prasudi reporting live from East Baltimore. Stan?
Meanwhile, tonight, a 4-year-old East Baltimore girl is walking around this evening with a bullet in her back following a shooting last night. Tarika Johnson was released from the hospital today, and she's back home now. She'll need surgery later on to remove that bullet. Tarika and her mother were coming home from the store last night when someone started shooting.
I'm looking that she's still here too, because she could have died then and there. They said she was lucky she was very strong when it happened, because she didn't collapse or nothing.
Police say the shooting stemmed from a nearby robbery attempt. No arrests have been made. An 18-year-old Briscoe High School student faces charges of assault tonight following the stabbing of a fellow student and a teacher this morning. Police say Michelle Newton and the other student got into a fight, and the teacher, Jacqueline Ridges, tried to break it up. Ridges was stabbed in the hand. The student suffered a wound to her arm. Neither injury considered serious.
A group of Towson State students is volunteering its time to help homeless children. In tonight's Positively Baltimore, News Channel 2's Yolanda Graham explains the meaning of Project Lou and shows us the people behind the program's success. They provide the shoulders children lean on for moral support. They are a friendly face, a helping hand with something as simple as an Easter basket or more difficult like a homework assignment. Towson State students are helping inner city youth with Project Lou, Lean on Us.
Where we try to, teach them something, try to reaffirm some of the values we have, to stay in school, stay away from drugs, things of that nature. And, just to see the kids smile when we interact with them is something that I find personally rewarding.
Towson's Black Student Union started Project Lou in 1989. Once a week, the college students visit homeless children who live in transitional housing. They don't do it for college credit. They do it because they care.
I'm working with Project Lou to show them that, hey, you can come to college and you can do anything you want to do, no matter what your financial status is or whatever your family life. You can be anything you want to be if you try.
They may have times when they're down, they may not feel anyone's there for them, that, the people that they don't really even know, there are good people out there that actually care about them.
And that caring goes both ways. Just listen to 3-year-old Dante talk about his friends at Project Lou.
He helps people.
He helps people?
Did he help you make your Easter basket?
Yeah.